The Royal College of Physicians are talking about banning people from smoking in cars with children, cars and other vehicles. Andrea Crossfield, good morning.
Good morning.
Director of Smokefree Northwest. And Simon Clark, Director of the pro-smoking group Forest. Good morning to you, Simon.
Morning, Nicky.
Andrea, how would this work?
Smokefree Northwest has an ambition to create a smoke-free future for children and young people. This Royal College of Physicians report is really important. It talks authoritatively, based on research, about the very harmful effects of second-hand smoke on children, and looks at the number of hospital admissions, GP admissions caused by second-hand smoke exposure.
We know that. How would it work?
In terms of preventing children from being exposed to second-hand smoking exposure in cars, I think that it just is very practical common sense. There's a big job to do in talking to the public about this. Second-hand smoke in a car is 23 times more toxic than second-hand smoke in a smoky bar was before the smoke-free law. Most parents wouldn't have wanted to take their children into a smoky bar, and they really wouldn't want to expose them to that level of toxins in a car. So I think it would work, because I think that when people understand that this is about children's freedom to breathe healthily, that people will voluntarily get behind this.
So the easiest way to enforce this would be to ban all people from smoking in cars.
I mean, for Smokefree Northwest, that's what the Royal College of Physicians has called for.
Do you agree with that?
Smokefree Northwest has called for looking at a ban on smoking in cars carrying children. That's something that is already working in other parts of the world, in parts of Australia and the US, in Finland. So it's something that we know can work.
Simon Clark.
Well, I do think it's important that adult smokers smoke responsibly, and I think it's common sense to err on the side of caution and not smoke around very small children, especially in an enclosed space like a car, or even, in certain rooms in your house. But I'm against legislation which will actually dictate how people behave, not just because I think it's unenforceable. I just think we need to live in a society where people are, given some choice. They're educated.
But lots of people choose to smoke in cars with small children, and this is having a terrible effect on these children's health. There are studies which prove this.
Well, Nicky, as I said already, I think parents should err on the side of caution. But when these so-called... Well, I think the majority do, actually, these days. I think smokers have changed their behaviour enormously over the last 2 decades. I think smokers are increasingly considerate to those people around them, as they should be. I must confess, I am a bit sceptical when I hear the statistics that are bandied about to do with passive smoking. We heard it all before with adults. We were told before the smoking ban came in that 11,000 non-smokers were dying every year as a result of passive smoking. I simply don't believe it, because there's not a shred of evidence to actually support that.
Yes.
Can I come in there? And, I'm just referring back firstly to the smoke-free law and how successful that's been and how fantastically well supported it is by the public. And we know that there has been a significant drop in heart attacks since the introduction of the smoke-free law, both in
We
Scotland
know nothing of the
and
sort.
in the UK. But coming back to children and protecting children, I've met recently with doctors at Alderhay Hospital in Liverpool who see children whose parents smoke day in, day out, who have asthma, who have glue ear, who are coming into an A&E.
So we need legislation, you're saying?
So, if we currently have many children exposed, then we need legislation to protect children. We have legislation to protect adults, which is working really well. Why wouldn't we have legislation to protect children when the level of exposure that they have in cars is, pretty much the same, if not much, much higher than in a smoky bar?
Well, we hear that the smoking ban is allegedly working really well, and you say how popular it is. The fact is, it has a high compliance rate because the penalties for breaking the law are very severe, not just for the individual smoker, but for the business that allows people to smoke on their premises.
Ranjit in Wolverhampton. Support and guidance, Andrea. Is that what people need?
Well, as I said, people do need support and guidance, and
Can't we make up our own minds?
Smokefree Northwest are going to be doing that this summer. We'll have a whole campaign around protecting children from second-hand smoke. But that notwithstanding, some people are still going to smoke in their cars with children present, even little babies, and really,
does that beg a belief in your mind?
Protect them. Sorry.
Does that beg a belief in your mind when you see people with a little baby in a car puffing away?
I think people really, parenthood is stressful.
What's wrong, Simon? Simon Clark from Forest. I hear you chortling in the background. Share the joke with the rest of the class.
Well, it's not a joke, Nikki, because this is a very serious issue. And I would just reiterate what I said earlier, that we would never condone people who smoke in an enclosed space like a car with very young children there. But as some of your previous callers has said, this is a car is a private space, and if you ban smoking in a car where children are present, then are you going to start banning smoking in the home as well? And of course, the Royal College of Physicians isn't just calling for a ban on smoking in cars where children are present. They want to go the whole hog and ban smoking in any car. So even if you're an adult, like one of the previous callers, who doesn't have children in the car, is now 47 years old, why the heck shouldn't he be allowed to smoke in his own car? We hear some of these text messages saying, oh, it's dangerous to smoke and drive. Well, I'm sorry. There's not a shred of evidence to suggest that smoking while driving is a serious danger. In fact, the few studies that have been done on the subject suggest that changing a CD, retuning the radio to 5 Live, or having kids squabbling in the back is far more of a distraction.
And you think, well, actually, because somebody wants to have a few cigarettes, they're actually costing everyone in the street.
That is absolute rubbish. Nikki, can I come back on that?
You already have.
Smokers more than pay their way in society. I mean, today in the budget, we'll no doubt have yet another increase in tobacco taxation. Smokers contribute over £10 billion a year to the Treasury. That is far, far in excess of the amount of money it is said to cost the NHS in treating smoking-related diseases. So don't come back at smokers and say that they are costing this country, because actually they are not. They are making a net gain for the country.
Oh, is that where we should look at smokers as actually a revenue stream for the country? Then?
You can look at smokers however way you like. You should also look at smokers and accept that it's a legal product and they're not doing anything illegal whatsoever. And I really object to smokers being made to feel guilty about their habit.
Well, we're not, Simon, this isn't about smokers feeling guilty about their habit. This discussion we're having is about protecting children, isn't it? So we're not talking about, what are the costs to society from smoking here and now. Here and now we're talking about what are the costs to children from smoking.
It's not just, with respect, it's not just about children, because the Royal College of Physicians, in their report, want to ban smoking in all cars. How does that help children if there are no children in the car? How does it help children if people are banned from smoking in public parks where there may be hardly any children there at all? That simply is designed to force people to quit smoking. It's designed to vilify and stigmatise adult smokers. I don't see how it helps children at all.
I hope it is moving in our direction. I think we know that the vast majority of people start smoking before they reach 18 years old. So this isn't about adult choices. It is about a childhood addiction that is being perpetuated in a number of ways that we have. With smoking, I think we have got to the point where virtually everybody, including smokers, agree that all children should be protected.
Nikki, can I just say, I agree with you, the world does change, but the problem is politicians and campaigners want the world to change too quickly. They're trying to legislate to force change. Let the world change in its own good time. You talk about it being, more and more irresponsible to smoke around children. Well, that's public opinion. People will change their behaviour over time, but we don't force people to change their behaviour by introducing more and more legislation.
And over time, babies will die from cot death. Over time, children's childhoods will be crippled by
Don't start
asthma.
blaming cot death on smoking, because there is very inconclusive evidence to suggest it is
There is some evidence.
There is a very clear
Well, let's
link.
say in this RCP report, it bangs on about asthma. Now, how come the cases of asthma have tripled over the last 30 or 40 years, while the number of smokers has halved? And yet, if you read this report, you would be led to believe that the cost of asthma in terms of hospital admissions, the cost of asthma drugs, is all down to smoking. I simply think we shouldn't blame smoking all the time.
Thank you, Simon Clark. Thank you, Andrea Crossfield.